Good morning, traders. Welcome to the Bookmap Platform Details webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. Risk disclaimer: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so welcome to the webinar. What we do in this basic webinar here is just go through some of the introductions to Bookmap, who uses it, how to connect it, how to get it, and then we'll look at the Bookmap chart in the live market and start to go through some of the basics. Okay, what are we looking at? Define some of the elements on the chart, and then start to understand the basic order flow or understanding of the order flow by what Bookmap is visualizing for us. Okay. Now that said, there is another webinar that immediately follows this one at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And in that webinar, we go through a lot of the order flow details. We've moved beyond the basics. We're looking at very specific things. And that's part of the Bookmap education. Okay. So when you subscribe, it comes with education. There's a 4-part educational course. It's always available online. Then the advanced order flow webinars go through the same course content, but in the live market, okay? And then some. We really start to look at the details, as many as we can, and start to analyze them very objectively. And then based on our analysis, we start to predict or at least anticipate where price might go. So we're really starting to get into the details of understanding order flow and integrating that within the way that we trade. Now, that said, it's Friday, so we give out the link and invite guests to the advanced order flow webinar. I have it here in the chat, so there it is. So you guys can click on that and you can register for the advanced order flow webinar if you want to see what our educational process is like. Okay, we go through all sorts of different things there and it moves pretty quickly. So if you have questions about the platform, please hold it because we're going to go through, it's much more about understanding the order flow and price action. Okay, all right, that said, let's jump into the Bookmap website and we'll define what Bookmap is. Okay, we are a software trading platform, just like any other platform out there. We're not an indicator or derivative of time, price, or volume. And we just have a unique way of visualizing the market data. That is our strength. All right, so we'll get into it here in just a minute. Who uses Bookmap? Day traders, scalpers, swing traders, and quants. Now we come from that quant environment, but we've visualized the data in a unique way that is also very applicable to higher time frames. And I'll show you several examples today, especially if you attend the advanced order flow webinar at 11. All right, we'll continue on. Reading about an edge, getting an edge from the visualization in the platform. Okay, we're going to go through this all day today, so no need to read that right now. Connectivity, this is important. This is where you will need to connect Bookmap to the live markets since we are not a data provider nor a broker. We're software. Okay, we connect to futures, US equities, and digital currencies. Now, digital currencies, the data is free, so there's no worry there. For US equities, you will need to provide the data. It's through DX feed. That's the method that you'll be connecting with US equities. So you will need to subscribe to DX feed here. For futures data, there's all sorts of ways to connect here. Rhythmic, CQG, Gain Capital, Transact, IQ feed, Nanotick, and Cedro. Okay. Now, Cedro's for the Brazilian markets, and you can also see that there's some platforms listed here, just like we're a platform. TTX Trader Pro, Ninja 7 and 8, Interactive Brokers Traders Workstation. So you can connect via the API of these 3 different platforms. However, it is recommended to bypass all of their code and go directly with the data provider. It's better and less issues if you go directly with Rhythmic or CQG, etc. All right, if you need a data feed for like a trial, you can click here. Okay, let's continue on down, some testimonials here, and then let's get into some of the pricing. All right, now you can subscribe yearly if you click here, or you can subscribe monthly. Up to you. You get a discount if it's yearly. And then you see the different versions here. There's digital versions and there's global versions. So let's go through the details. The big distinction is the digital versions are for digital currencies only. Global versions are for all three market types: digital currencies, US equities, and futures. Okay, you can see that the digital version over here is free. It allows you to connect to only one digital currency at a time. You only get basic education and limited support. There's a US equities delayed feed, so you can also look at some of the equities, and you can also replay a futures file that comes with the download. However, if you want live data, then I would recommend trying Bookmap Global for just a month. Okay, it's 49 bucks. You can check it out and connect your data and see what it looks like in a live market. If it doesn't work for you, just cancel. All right. So anyway, that's the limitations of the free version, but it is a market that is always open, even over the weekend, and the data is free. So you can connect directly within minutes after downloading Bookmap. All right, the Digital Plus version allows you to trade from the Bookmap chart into a fully funded account. You can record and replay your data. You get multiple instruments, up to 20 per exchange, digital exchange, and then you get the advanced education and full support. Now, the Global Plus version, the big distinction, it's the same as Digital Plus, but it allows you to connect to futures and US equities. However, you will need to provide the data. All right, now let's moving on into the Global Plus. What you get in addition is our add-on indicators. Okay, one is the ability to trade right from the Bookmap chart into your funded account. Okay, this is a really big benefit because you have the liquidity heat map in front of you. So front run high liquidity for higher probability of getting filled. Hide your stops behind high liquidity so you don't get stopped out as easily. Then our proprietary indicators that we developed that look at very specific order flow phenomena. Okay, these aren't your MACDs or stochastics, etc. These are very particular add-on indicators we developed. Like our large lot tracker, we can identify larger players in the order book who are holding the majority of the liquidity. It is important to understand the behavior of the larger players. That's what we want to know. All right, some imbalance indicators for both the book and for volume. Again, looking here at the iceberg tracker is understanding the behavior of larger players that don't want to show their liquidity in the book. They want to hide it. They hide it through their iceberg orders, their hidden orders. However, our algo can detect them, and we can spot where these larger players are starting to deal. The correlation tracker is the last one here that you can add different markets right onto the Bookmap chart. Okay, of course, both global versions come with advanced education and full support. Let's continue on down and go over just a few resources here because we're going to go through it in the advanced order flow webinar today. There's some blog posts here, featured blog posts. You can click here as well for more blog posts up on the toolbar. And then let's go over to our Twitter feed. Okay, so at bookmap_pro, you can follow us here. All sorts of data, all sorts of information here about Bookmap. There's trader interviews. There's several that we've made just recently, like for looking at Joseph here, a small cap trader. We have another one here we just uploaded yesterday with Matt, another stock trader. Oh, I'm sorry, futures trader here. You know, all sorts of information here, as well as retweets from other traders. Actually, this is my Twitter account. Uploaded this earlier this morning, or very early this morning, just going through mean reversion setups and trades. Okay, so yeah, I would encourage you to go through some of the Twitter. We're gonna go through some of these today during the advanced order flow webinar. For those of you who came in late, here is the link. It's in the chat for the advanced order flow webinar. Okay, so there it is. If you click on that, you can register for it, and you can see what I'm talking about and how we approach our education in the live market. All right, that's Twitter. Let's move on. YouTube. All sorts of videos here that kind of complete the basic education. Some intro videos here on the home page, features and components here, some selected webinars, And then these order flow video snippets, I think you'll find them very helpful. Okay, this is the kind of concepts of order flow phenomena that we go through in a lot of detail in the advanced webinars. Okay, but these are very concise and short, give you the overall understanding of what Bookmap is visualizing and how to use it to your advantage. Okay, even veteran traders aren't really accustomed to some of this phenomena in the order flow that comes from this high frequency or algorithmically dominated marketplace. All right, okay, let's jump into Bookmap. Rhythmic, John or Jerry, Rhythmic is for data and execution. Well, it depends. You can get it as just data from Rhythmic directly if you prefer. Or you can get it from a broker. Okay, many brokers offer Rhythmic. Okay, and I'm looking at Rhythmic here, and we actually recommend it because it has full depth of market, which I'll describe in just a second here. But yeah, I would just reach out to various brokers and see if they have Rhythmic. Okay, that would be the way to go. If you want to trade from the Bookmap chart into your account, right? Else, if you just want the data for the visualization, contact Rhythmic directly. All right, okay, so let's go through the basics here in the Bookmap chart. And I'll just briefly describe that full depth of market, and we'll go through it probably again here because we always see great stuff in here. For example, looking at just the NASDAQ E-mini, we're down here at 76.47. Okay, well here 10 points away. Okay, it's actually 40 ticks away. Okay, look at the liquidity up here. Now this is live. This area is live up here. And now that's the difference, because some data providers, they don't offer full depth of market, okay, which means that these areas, we don't know what the liquidity is up here, right? It's just you only get 10 deep on the offer and 10 on the bid, right? But we understand this with full depth, that we're looking at all of these areas as being live here. This is taking a while to update. In fact, I don't know why. Hold on a minute here. Let me just quit Skype. There we go. Okay. All right. So looking at the Bookmap chart here, we still have some add-on indicators that actually come with the Bookmap global version, not the Global Plus version. But I'm just going to shut all of them down here. Okay, so that we can look at a simplified chart and define the elements here. And then we're going to take that into much further discussion in about 15 minutes in the advanced order flow webinar. All right, VWAP, iceberg. Okay, I just took off the iceberg detector. We have a historical VWAP and we have a historical point of control indicator, which have been really helpful for us. I just closed up a sub chart, which is kind of typical of your regular derivative indicator, like stochastics or MACD or something. Okay, it's the cumulative volume delta down here. Okay, that's the one that we offer. All right, now that said, as well, you can program your own indicators here. Okay, we have Bookmap API, where you can not only program your own indicators on the subchart or on the chart right here, the main chart, or you can also create some automated strategies. If you guys have questions about some of the automated strategies, let me know. Happy to go through it. There's all sorts of stuff here to look at. Okay, this is a pretty robust platform with all sorts of things, and we're just scratching the surface here with the basics. Right now, you can also draw on the chart here, so let's clear that drawing, and maybe we can go over it in the advanced webinar. Yeah, I'm using the Global Plus version, Jerry, but like I said, the way I have it set up right now, I'm looking at the very basic chart here. All right, now that said, looking at this basic chart here, you might be looking at a lot of data here that you've never seen before, and it looks very confusing. Okay, it's actually very straightforward, very simple data, simpler than some of the concepts of candlesticks or volume bars or range bars. This is much simpler, and it's much more objective because you're just getting truly what the market is doing here. Right now, to go over that concept here, I'm going to show a 5-minute candlestick chart here, and I'll go through some of the details of what you're looking at in Bookmap and how it relates to a 5-minute candlestick chart, because this is the view we're accustomed to looking at, is something like this. Right, and let me just define 3 elements here, and then we'll go through each one. The 3 elements on this Bookmap chart are historical and current best bid and offer. Okay, you see the volume dots here. These are it's volume that traded on that historical best bid and offer. Okay, and then we also have the heat map, which is this orangish red area here. And what it is liquidity. It's just showing you the order book. It's just recorded and placed onto the chart historically. So look at our 9:30 open, for example. Remember how I said these are all live areas here? Well, right at 9:30, larger players came in up at this, they thought the value of the NASDAQ E-mini here was around 58 or so, 76.58. Here they are. They've been waiting this entire time, the entire cash session they've been here, right? So we can understand their behavior, and you can see that they're starting to add in. See how it got a little more red up here? Anyway, we'll turn off all these 3 items for the moment here, and we'll just look at this candlestick chart, and I also have some trade data here. And yeah, I'm not gonna, let's turn that off for now too, and I'll turn it back on. Okay, because I'm going to go over some trades in the advanced order flow webinar in about 12 minutes or so. For those of you who came in late, here is the link to the advanced order flow webinar if you want it. It's in the chat there. So just click on that and you can register. All right, so 5-minute candlestick chart. What are we looking at here? Every 5 minutes, that period of time, we have a candlestick. Okay, and actually we only have 4 data points for that candlestick: open, high, low, and close. It's not giving us much insight. It is completely opaque to all sorts of information that gives us tremendous insight on what the market is doing and where it might go. For example, we cannot see where the volume traded. Okay, even if you have a footprint chart and you can see precisely where the volume traded, on the bid, on the offer, it's still going to be within a period here. So it's aggregated data. Okay, aggregated data has its benefits because you're able to look at higher time frames like this, but it has many drawbacks because now you don't know what happened between this 5-minute period. Okay, we want to understand microstructure, and we want to understand how the volume reacted on that microstructure. That gives us insight to breakouts like this to the upside. Okay? And we also want to see where they're bidding and offering. That's the uniqueness here in Bookmap, is the heat map part, because you simply cannot see that in most trading platforms. All right, so let's add on the historical best bid and offer, and I'll go through this quickly so we can get to the advanced order flow webinar. Historical best bid and offer immediately breaks down that aggregated period. Okay, now we can see what the price action was truly between this 5-minute candle period here. Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit. All right, so you can see each vertical dotted line here represents a minute, and this is what really happened. We went sideways for a bit, and then they started to lift the offer up out of this range here. Okay, there's a range that's here. Okay, and look how it broke out of that range. Okay, it broke out pretty quickly. And we're going to see that it's going to be aggressive buyers here that lift the offer very, very quickly. We get a nice little pullback right to where it kind of went sideways for a bit, and it continued to the upside. Okay? This is the kind of microstructure details here that gives you a lot of insight that you miss in your aggregation. Okay, because you can look for a pullback to these areas here. You would have gotten a nice entry to continue this to the upside here, right? If you miss the breakout to the upside. right, so let's just zoom out a little bit more because I want to cover this microstructure stuff. The microstructures that I'm talking about here are, for example, this consolidation period, and then our breakout, and then that little area right here. Okay, a lot of insight there. Okay, looking for it to continue to the upside. In fact, you get even another retest down here. Right? It did not retest, at least so far, back to where it broke from down here. Okay, around 76.40, 44. I'm sorry. All right, so let's see if did it ever get down there? No, it didn't. It was a pretty bullish breakout, so it's continuing, as you can see, to the upside here. Anyway, being able to optimize by seeing and understanding the microstructure is very beneficial because you can really optimize your entries and exits and trade management. Right now, let's add the volume, okay, onto this chart. Okay? And this is very typical. Okay? We can see here, just like we were predicting here, that we're going to see a lot of volume here lift the offer up out of this area. This is what it takes to lift it up out of the area. Okay? Pretty strong volume. And let's zoom in here because here's that little pullback to this little kind of consolidation period here. We find very few sellers. The buyers rotate in again and lift the offer. More buy volume at higher highs, very typical. Okay, exhausted out up here actually. So we're looking for a pullback at that point, and we do get it. A nice little pullback. Anyway, that's understanding the aggressor here. That's the volume that we're displaying here. And what do I mean by aggressor? Well, here we see the really nice book sweep here. A little bit of delay between quotes data and trade data. But let's just zoom in here and just show these two elements, and then let's get to the heat map. The two elements, the best offer, here is the red line, best bid is the green line, and then you can see these volume dots here. This is the aggressor. This means market buy order here. They crossed the spread, they paid up for it, and they took liquidity off of the best offer. Okay, this is for a volume of 4. You can use the data tip tool here. Okay, this one's for a volume of 1. So the larger dot constitutes larger volume. And you can see that there's dots within dots here. We can zoom in and we can start to see every single transaction. Okay, even if you look at the data tip tool, you get the date, the timestamp, what was on the ask, and the volume. Okay, so you can see here the timestamp. We're actually looking down here at microseconds. So we're looking at millions of seconds. Just want to show you that everything is very precisely recorded here. And that's the environment we came from when we developed Bookmap, is from that HFT environment. Now we zoom back out, okay, and you'll note that what we do is we take that data and just aggregate it visually here into a bigger dot, okay, because all of those dots, it would just be overload. Now instead we can use this information, like this is for a volume of 82, and you can see here actually, let's make this a little bit bigger. You can see some of these here are like a pie display, like this one here. And this one is too, but it's kind of hidden behind another. Let's just make this bigger here. So these pie displays, there's both buying and selling within that time period, but we give you the overall shape of it. So there's no question about this move to the upside. It is bullish. Okay, the bulls are in control. Right? And what's nice about this compared to looking at a candlestick chart or a footprint chart is you can't see the relationship between the structure and the aggressor. It would just be on a bar. All right, and this just gives you much more insight and looking for those little areas to optimize your trading. All right, now those are two elements. Let's go through the third element here, and let's take off our candlestick chart, and we're going to add the heat map. Okay. Now we're going to look at a complete picture of the order flow and define what this heat map is. Okay, we'll go to the current market for that. This vertical white line divides the historical market to the left and the current market here to the right. Oh yeah, for those of you who came in late, you can be a guest today to the advanced order flow webinar. I'll just put the link in here for that, so you can click on that. It's in the chat. And I'll give it out one more time at the end here. I mean, a lot of people filtering in and out here today. Anyway, the heat map, let's define what this is, because this is what most people are pretty unaccustomed to accessing, right? so that current market here, all right, we'll look at the current best bid and offer here. This number's the last traded volume. And then this is our price ladder here. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit more here. Right, so on our price ladder, you can see there's this COB column, and I'm just gonna go over that column today. What we're looking at in this column is the liquidity. Okay, these numbers represent contracts. Okay, that they above current price, they wanna be sellers. Below current price, they wanna be buyers. Now, what we do in Bookmap is we take that DOM data and we transform it into a heat map. Okay, so very high liquidity is given this color orange here, or red is the highest actually. And then yellow, orange, yellow, white, blue, and then black. Okay, so we're just taking the numeric values, turning them into graphical representation. Okay, so when these numbers change, you'll see the heat map reflect the change. Now, where this gets interesting, because your DOM, you'll see these numbers change all the time, and that data is lost. Okay? But it's not lost in Bookmap because we capture it and then we project it on the chart historically. So you can see the striations here down at this 56 area here. See, look at the adding and pulling of liquidity. Okay? We can use the data tip tool again. Hover over these areas on the bid, there's 118 contracts, and they pulled down to 113. Added back in 116, then 107, okay? And then now they're adding in quite a bit, 122, right? So this is the adding and pulling of liquidity. We can see the entire intent or record of these players' behavior. Okay? That would be difficult to understand in your DOM, right? Let's see, Rick, when I get a chance, would I show how to enter orders and move stops? Yeah, sure, no problem. In fact, I think Rick will do that in the advanced order flow webinar. So if you can attend that one, okay. Because in fact, I'm going to review. Okay, yeah, please attend that one because I'm going to review a few trades that I took this morning, and then some yesterday after the webinar that I took. Okay, so we'll go over the trade management, and I'll set some live orders as well, so you can understand how to use that. Okay, all right. So now, what is so insightful about this heat map here is just starting to understand real liquidity versus and the intent to trade versus players that pull that liquidity and have no intent to trade. Okay, and we're just seeing it right in front of us, right here. Okay, was this real liquidity down here at 56? Absolutely. Look at high liquidity here. They started to pull some of it, right? As price is just one tick away, but it trades right into it here. Okay, so out of all of these contracts here, and we had 101 here, 93 of them traded. Okay, probably 92. 93 or so. And there's a little bit of buying in there, but anyway, you can see that we know that these guys are long at this price level. We test into this area here as well. They are now long too. Okay, this is real liquidity. Okay, just made the distinction here because a lot of traders say it is fake. It's all they don't have the intent to trade. They're always pulling, etc. It's not true. Here it is. This was actually completely absorbed here. Down at this 55 and a quarter. We see the buyers starting to rotate back in. Now, this is liquidity that has a lot less intent to trade. Okay, so notice how they're in the book here. Price comes up, they pull. Price comes up again into this area. Some of it trades, it looks like. Yeah, some of it does, 33 or so, but they pulled, okay, a lot of that liquidity. And where did price go? We see more follow through from the aggressor on the buy side up to the next level to 62. Okay, here's our pullback to where we just broke from, and let's see if the buyers can step in again here. Okay, they're pulling again at 62 here. Right. Notice these little areas here, we're starting to exhaust out a little bit on that, but we might find the buyers rotate in again here. Yeah, it looks good. Let's see the follow through here. A little more convoluted, some sellers here. So a little back and forth here, but here they come. Let's see a little more buying here and looking for the maybe now 55 or 65 up here could be a potential target. Okay, yeah, there we go. There's our breakout. Well, it's starting to just, you can see, piece together what's going on here by understanding the aggressor in context to the auction, right? And we're just looking at this kind of current price activity. We came up to about 64. We didn't make it to 65, but just looking at this kind of current auction that's going on right now. Let's zoom out. Okay. Now we can zoom out and we can start to understand this auction on much, much higher time frames. That gives us a lot of insight to what is going on. Okay. Look at this area here, all filled pre-market, and look at this area up here. You can see right to it and absorbed at the open, and then a move down, back and forth, and then the move back up into our higher area here that we were looking at earlier, right? That these guys have been in the market the entire day, anyway, we're through that area and still finding some buyers. All right, let's wrap it up here. You guys have the link to the advanced webinar. It's there again in the chat. If not, then we'll see you next week. If so, we'll see you in just a minute here in the next webinar. Thanks.